Hey everyone, this is Sabrina. Welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited to do another update to my reading journal. This is going to be March, and I am starting with these little tiny books that I'm going to add to this whole spread to show all the books that I've read this whole year. I love seeing this come together, and I love seeing, being able to add books to this page every single month. So the next step is to write in the books with my pen. And if you remember, I said in the beginning, I'm not going to color the books. It takes too much time, and I don't know, it just takes away from the overall shelfy feeling for me. So I am just going to write it in with pen and keep it simple. I also did decide to add one book to the front where my amazing illustration vector, I think the fancy word is vector. That's what Veronica says it's called. I decided to add one title to the top shelf where I'm sitting, and that is Meet Me in Paradise. And here I just showed you I have one whole shelf full, and I am super excited to have that shelf full. I remembered to print out some monthly faves, so I added in February and March. Next up is filling in my Goodreads challenge, 10 books for the month of March. Chose a green marker and filled in 10 squares. Simple, easy, and done. The next page I'll move on to is paper and Kindle and the different genres, plus the A to Z challenge. I think I only read 2 books from Kindle. I tend to not keep track, but I'm going to do better in April. So I put 2 for Kindle and 8 for paperback, and I'm kind of flipping back and forth to kind of determine the genres. I'm sticking with one genre for each of these books. I only added 2 books to my A to Z challenge. I think I should have added more, so maybe I need to check that. The next thing I'm going to do is add 2 more books to the Year of Smut or Romance challenge. This challenge finished up this month, March, the first quarter of it, so I didn't get a bingo. That's okay. I still am going to add to this challenge, and then in my April video, I will add in the next quarter of books. So I'm excited to keep this challenge going, and I'll probably mark somehow, some way that the books going forward are not part of the first quarter, and I didn't read them in the first quarter. So for this March, I read How to Fail at Flirting, which was a plus size lead, and The Love Hypothesis that I had to wait forever to read, and it was worth the wait, definitely. It is a woman that is STEM, so she's a scientist, and it was a really fun read. That's going to be one of my faves this month, and I'm going to do a video later on for that. Now I'm going to start with March. If you see some pencil drawings over on the left, that's because next week I decided to add some calendars to my book journal. I'm not a drawer. I'm just winging it. I don't really have a stamp or a stencil that works. I'm just winging it. But I had calendars in 2020 and I really miss them. And so I'm going to bring them back and add them to this blank space that I have over here. For now, I am going to decorate my page with the new reading kit I got from the Paper Person shop. I think that's run by Kelly Perky. And I'm going to dump out the die cuts and pick out just 2 that I want to use. But I'm going to be completely honest. I loved this washi. It was so bright and so colorful. And when I went to stamp some mixed marks from Everyday Explorers, I picked really bland colors. So I'm actually going to go back and figure out how to fix this. And you guys will see the fix in next week's video with the calendars. I basically just added some really colorful books because like I said, I felt like it was blah with the mixed marks that I picked and the inks that I picked. So I'm going to change up the design just a little bit as far as adding a ton more color and, of course, the calendar. For now, I am stamping Currently Reading, paper, and library book because I get most of my books from the library. I'd love to know where you get your books. If you want to leave a comment in the comment section, let me know where you get your books. I love the library, and I feel like every time a hold comes in, it's like Christmas because I never know what I'm getting, so it is kind of like a present, and I'm so excited for when my books come in. You can also see that I took out some of the stamping of the doodles in the editing because I figured, what's the point? I'm not going to show you, but you can see it's kind of bland. So I'm just going to pop it with some very colorful books. And like I said, you'll see that next week. I stamped 10 and fussy cut that out because that was the number of books that I read. And then I'm going to wrap up this page with a stamping of the book. I have a little tiny book that I stamped, but I will cover that up with giant books that are very colorful. I went digging in my stash for a washi tape that was green. Didn't really find anything that I wanted to use, but I found this Cocoa Daisy washi from who knows when, and I decided to use that for a bright spring colored spread. So I will do greens and yellows and a little bit of blues. Going with the same design as the previous 2 months to make it very simple. And like I mentioned in my February video, I almost forgot to add in the pages, which is down at the bottom. So I'm going to actually start from the bottom and work my way up. But first I'm stamping all the stats, and something happened with my S. It got like ink stuck in like the bottom corner, so it got all smushed. I tried cutting out another S, and you'll see that later on, but that didn't work either. Oh well, we're just going to leave it and keep going. So I stamp with my mixed mark box. The lines, they didn't turn out as great as I wanted. It's hard to craft when your daughter is talking to you, and I don't know, I'm just focusing more on her, which I guess is important, right? So these lines aren't the straightest, but that's okay. I read a whopping 3,504 pages because 2 of the books that I read were really long, like super long. I think it was the All Roads Lead Here, and I don't know which other one, but All Roads Lead Here was actually like almost 500 pages. So that was a pretty good book. I don't know. I recommended it to a friend, and she didn't really like it. She didn't find the romance great, and she didn't like that he was calling her like a goofy nickname, which I could totally see. So that one's a hit or miss, but I really loved With Love in London. That was extraordinary. And I just had a lot of books this month where I was just zooming through the books, I felt like. So that is actually going to be one of my categories when I go to write down my categories. I messed up on one of the boxes, so I went ahead and stamped it, and I'm going to fussy cut that out in just a minute and show you how I fixed that. Since I had 10 books, I did 2 rows of 4 and then 2 on the bottom. It's not necessarily a cohesive design, I guess, but it works, and I got all 10 in there. I had to scoot the top row up a little bit. That way I made sure I added in the book rating because I wanted to have that in there. It's very important to have that in there. And once I have that in, I'm going to go ahead and try to figure out my different categories that I want to include. I know that I'm going to include Ugly Cry. I have to include Ugly Cry. Meet Me in Paradise. That book looks like one of those fun contemporary romance covers that you see. That is not what that book's about at all. Whoever designed that cover and got the approval, I don't know. Because that book to me was more about sisters and grief and coming together and acceptance and moving forward. And the romance was just a side dish, I guess. I was ugly crying throughout that book, and I had to take a lot of breaks because I was just crying so much. But I really love that book, and that is going to be a favorite. And see, look there, I fixed my little box. I just took the center and cut the center out, and I was able to totally fix that box. Now I just cut out the S, and I just kind of left it there, but I am going to glue it down. It turns out a little crooked, but oh well. In the grand scheme of things, does it really matter? Probably not. So what matters is that I'm documenting my books. And so that is what I'm doing. I picked a green marker to kind of highlight or fill in the stars. I messed up on Weather Girl, and I went ahead and used a white pen to fill in that oops, because I wanted to give Weather Girl only a 4, not a 5. It just wasn't as great as I thought it was going to be, and I didn't feel like the sparks. For the other category, it was couldn't put down. I put 6. I thought I was going to put 5, but really it was 6. 6 books that I was just like, I couldn't put them down. Well, Meet Me in Paradise, I couldn't put that down, but I had to because I was crying so much. I will talk more about that book when I do the faves, but I totally recommend that book. Adding in some mixed marks with a yellow flower and some X's and circles, and then some blue. They look like pebbles to me. That's what they look like. So I'm adding those in different corners and also marked as red. Once I did the marked as red, I decided to add another yellow flower. And then I added the black X's and circles, and I wound up smushing it because I tried to fix it and it smushed. So what I did is I went to the back of my traveler's notebook, stamped it, cut it out, fussy cut it out, and then I covered it. You can see me right here. I'm just covering it up, and now you can't even tell. The last step will be adding in the genres and the dates that I read the book. So I have romance, graphic novel, LGBT, sports romance, young adult, British lit. And then I will add in all the dates for the books that I read. And that will be pretty much it for my March journal. And I've had the best time putting this together. I hope you guys have thoroughly enjoyed seeing these 2 pages together. And I can't wait to show you my faves for March and also show you how I'm going to use the calendar. All right, I would love a thumbs up or a subscribe if you're new to my channel, and hit that bell so you can know when I put up a new video. All right, thanks again for watching and have a great day. Bye.